couples who got married on the basis, if we're both not married by X years old, we'll marry each other. How did things work out? We were best friends for a long time in high school. I was really into her, but the feeling wasn't mutual. I told her if we were single 5 years from now I could see us getting together and getting married. I moved across the country and we mostly lost touch for a couple of years, but then almost exactly 5 years after I'd said that, we reconnected and I told her I was miserable where I was. She had just moved to a new city. I moved in with her, and we got together pretty quick. In 2 weeks. That'll have been 6 years ago. We just bought a house and our daughter's first birthday is next month. It was rocky at first, since we were both escaping miserable situations and living in a studio apartment, but everything worked out and I live with my best friend. My mom has a similar story, but without that agreement. She was in a relationship with the dude, and he decided to move to Italy so he could actually earn money. My mom left him and found my dad after that and had me and my brother, and the Italy dude also met his wife there and had 2 kids. Skip like 25 years, and both are divorced, mostly due to the other partner being kinda terrible. My mom's friend reconnects the Italy dude and her, and he comes over to our country all the way from Italy just so they can talk. I immediately sparked with him, and we really enjoy hanging out and talking and exploring food together. Now skip almost 2 years, and they've been married for a year, and enjoying life over in Switzerland. If you made this into a movie, people would say it wouldn't happen. I made this arrangement with my best friend from college. We spent so much time together, people thought we were dating and it led to some strife in many of my possible relationships because they saw her as a threat. But that wasn't the nature of our relationship. Strictly friends. I had interest in her one time but was quickly friendzoned and didn't try to make any advances. She never held interest in me. One night, close to the end of college, we went out and grabbed some beer at a local place and were transparent that we could see ourselves getting married to one another. We made an agreement that if, by the age of 30 or 35, I can't remember now, we were both single, we would get married. After college, we went our separate ways. I continued with school, she got a job. We talked inconsistently, maybe once every few months. For about 2 years. I happened to be in her city one day in 2020 and we grabbed coffee. We talked a little more after that, then things really picked up here in the last few months. We're engaged, getting married in March. Jumped the gun a little, but damn it, this is the best decision and relationship I've ever been in. This is me and my husband. Met in high school but didn't really become friends until our early 20s. We spent a lot of time together because we had mutual friends. Somewhere along the way we really connected and became best friends. There was never any romance or unrequited love on either end. Just truly best friends. He was even engaged to another girl for a while and I was dating someone else. They ended up breaking it off the engagement because she cheated and I broke up with the guy I was seeing. We went out one night with one of my best girlfriends, who actually dated my husband while we in high school. Asked why we weren't dating already and we didn't have a good answer. I think she planted the first seed and eventually we gave the dating thing a shot. That was about 12 years ago. We've been married for 7 years, and we have a 4-year-old, a baby and a dog. I love him even more today than I did when we got married. And just a side note, a few years back my husband's ex-fiancée reached out to him and said she heard through the grapevine that him and I were married. She said it made her happy because even she could see that him and I belonged together. That was my whole approach to dating growing up. Tried to befriend girls first, and if I liked them enough, I would date them with the intention of getting married later on down the line. I didn't like the whole dating to meet people thing our society does nowadays. I wasn't in it to mess around. I was searching for my soulmate, and they were damn well going to be my best friend. Guess the intentionality paid off, because I met my best friend and wife pretty quick. Been married 3 years now, I'm 22. We met when we were 18 and made the agreement at 20 that if we were both single at 30 we would get married. We dated other people for a while. If I was single she had a boyfriend, If she was single, I had a girlfriend, but we always went to each other's family events and holidays, even if a significant other was in the picture for either one of us. One night when I 25, I was out to dinner with my then girlfriend for a friend's birthday, going away party, and then girlfriend and I got into it because she didn't want to be there and was mad I wanted to stay. Best friend was moving from the Midwest to Seattle and we had known each other our whole lives and lived together through college. I told her I would get her an Uber back to my apartment, but I was staying and we would talk when alcohol wasn't involved. My sister called right after. She ran into my friend at a festival a few hours away. They had a chat, and she told my sister she loved me, but didn't want to get in the way of my relationship. My sister knew it was rocky already and called me with her to tell me. As it turned out, I had loved my best friend for years, but the timing was never right. Broke up with then girlfriend the next day. Went to visit best friend that night. We were dating by the end of that night, engaged 6 months after, and now, at 30, have been married 4 years with an almost 3-year-old daughter. I'm glad we waited until the timing was right. We learned that about ourselves during that time and got to know each other very well as best friends. I told my super shy best guy friend we were getting married one day. I didn't ask. I just declared. We were 15. He couldn't even look me in the eyes yet. He just blushed a lot and looked at my shoes. I dated other people while I waited around. When I moved to another state at 17, he got a girlfriend and promptly dumped her at 19 when I agreed to move back. We've now been married a decade, have a few kids, and I live life married to my best friend. Honestly, it would have failed hardcore if we dated in high school. We were such different people, but we got together at a great time where we were both discovering who we were as people and have grown in that together. Plus, makes for a fun story. Smile. Dated a girl in high school for 3 years. We were good for each other. We went to different colleges and she broke up with me at her father's advice. We lived our lives, found each other in our mid-20s, did the thing 20-year-olds do, and she got pregnant. Not my child though. Math didn't add up. The bio dad bounced and I helped her through the pregnancy. DNA test proved what we thought. No biggie. I was willing to sign the papers as the child was my own and raise him together with her. She opted to let the bio dad try to be a father, once again on her dad's advice. This is when we made the 30s and singles plan. Lived the rest of my 20s going to school, bartending, entrepreneurship and the like. Married a different girl and that was it. So I thought. Wife I had been with for 7 years ups and tells me she's in love with her boss. Divorces, mid-30s. Facebook the old flame, and behold bio dad is a shit person and she's had it. Kicks the guy out. This point they've had a second child though. I have 0. Fuck it, let's do this. Take on both kids as my own and we've been married for 4 years. Pizza night is on Fridays and we have all the coolest video games. I was a military pilot and doing a lot of deployments through Japan. Being boring as fuck, or I prefer to see it as smart. I didn't go fuck around in the shady bars right off the bat, but instead would go into town. Actually tried to get into Japanese culture and all of that. Had a couple places I'd hang out, like a sushi spot where when it was slow the chef and I would trade English and Japanese lessons. Eventually met a nice Japanese girl. Her goal was to be a big name in the Japanese TV news industry. Americans think Tom Brokaw level big. Neither of us was that serious in the relationship. I was in and out of Japan and my fighter wing of course considered San Diego its home base, so sometimes in Japan, sometimes floating my ass around on a carrier, sometimes San Diego, sometimes Hawaii, sometimes the Persian Gulf even, etc. For her career was over if she got serious. At that time, the way it worked in Japan was you got married, congratulations, you're a housewife now. Obviously some married women work, but married women had an extremely low participation rate in the workforce, especially then, poor levels of career mobility, and on top of that marrying a gaijin wasn't going to do her any favors. Single and completely dedicated to the job was the way to be if you wanted to get anywhere as a woman. So when I was in Japan we did stuff. When I was in Hawaii she flew over and we spent a week surfing on the North Shore. When I was in Bahrain I told her this is a godforsaken hellhole of a furnace and don't waste your money on airfare to come here. Overall zero expectation of marriage because eventually it was known I'd leave the military. I didn't want to settle in Japan long term. She had her life goals in Japan, etc. I get out of the military, get into computer programming in Silicon Valley, get a master's, all of that stuff. My Japanese friend is crushing it on her side of Pacific. Ended up going more toward executive than TV news personality, but still rising up through the ranks. We kept in touch, both dated other people. The catalyst to our marriage was she had eggs pulled out and frozen when she was younger because she knew with how the career ladder worked out there that kids were a major career killer and she'd be doing it later in life. Get message about how she's coming to SF for a trip and would I like to do a lunch? Sure. Turns out one of the topics was I'm about to pull the eggs out of the freezer. Would you donate some sperm? Which in turn veered into if we're doing that, given our ages, how much we've both focused on our careers at the expense of other things, etc. Why not just get married so there aren't any custody issues, etc. I believe her when she said she didn't come to SF to try to backdoor marriage. It was purely I don't want random sperm out of a bank, who in my history has pretty good genes. Oh yeah, that Cajun pilot. That being said, the discussion basically veered into like fuck we're old and both single. So, been together over a decade now. I'm still in Silicon Valley doing my thing as the head of a large engineering org. She's in Japan pretty high up. We have a home in Hawaii so that there is like a formal family home for the kids and we all gather there. Kids shuttle back and forth. Best part is I look like a total sleazebag. I'm older than her, and she has that Asian stop aging thing going on so she looks significantly younger than me and if she has one of the makeup teams work their magic, that takes a few more years off the top, and while I'm not making bad money by any stretch as a VP of engineering, she's an order of magnitude better paid than me, so I just look like the old guy gold-digging the younger woman. But yeah, basically my relation is built entirely upon sitting there at the ferry building SF and in between shooing the pigeons away from our food, discussing how we're both old and still single. A few joking comments had been made long before about hey maybe when we're both in our 60s and still single we'll be advanced enough in career to marry. My husband and I were friends. I said, if you don't have a date on Valentine's Day, why don't you come over and we can drink/hang out? It was senior year of college. This was everyone's pastime on non-football days or club nights. Valentine's came, and we both had nothing to do. He came over with beer and yellow, red flowers. He offered to take me to dinner. I turned around and looked at my roommate like, huh? Oh, this is a date? I accepted the flowers and the six-pack, got changed and 3 days later I just knew he was the one I wanted to annoy for a lifetime. We were swimming in the Jupiter Inlet and I said I think we should get married. He said yep. Sounds like a plan. That's all it took. Friends plus Valentine's, plus trajectory change equals 2 kids, 2 careers, 6 moves, 1 serious illness. We survived together as a team. And it will be 25 years together in February. Man, I got it right and I couldn't even think of anyone better a fit for me. It's been awesome. I had this type of deal with the girl I knew in college. We both were probably in love with each other but the timing was never right. We had the deal that if we were both single at 30 we would get together. Years later, I was single and approaching 30. She was a couple months older than me so I decided to look her up. Turns out, unfortunately for me, that she did get married already, and it just happened to be her wedding day was on her 30th birthday. Well, it's actually feeling like you have a lot of differences and are best friends, and wanting a life partner to have more in common with you, like same hobbies, same sex drive. In my case, I didn't have faith that complete opposites could work out, although somehow, our friendship is amazing despite not having much in common. And my guy just go along with whatever I think. He doesn't try hard to convince me otherwise. He did put a word or two but he also didn't want to shake the friendship. It's not that he wasn't a great person. I cannot imagine a better guy. It's just that we are so different. I am afraid those differences are gonna become obstacles in the long run. So I kept looking for guys more similar to me who is the male version of me. It has to be like this. I needed to see after years of friendship how effortlessly he and I still get along to start believing it could work out. However, physically, he is totally my type to perfection. I am very sexually attracted to him from day one. It's just that we were so different in our interests. That made me not want to see him as the one. Literally nothing in common. He don't even like movies. Okay, so I'm an old-timer who met her husband in college and married in my early 20s. It's actually kind of tragic to meet your life partner when you're that young. You don't really have the life experience to be in a very serious long-term relationship. You haven't sowed many oats, which you might regret later, and you're often not in a super stable place geographically. You might move for that first job or for grad school, saying, "Hey, I'm not ready to marry yet, but I can see myself marrying you." Actually seems pretty sensible to me. We're still married 17 years and 2 kids later. I'm grateful to have him, but I wish we had met in our 30s. Well, this is likely my scenario. My best friend of 10 yoctoseconds who I also have sex with on and off during past years. The thing is, we are not sexually compatible, but I love talking him. I love his mind and his opinions and comments on everything. That itself always makes me feel excited. But because we are not sexually compatible, as in we don't enjoy the same things in sex and are not willing to give what each other need in sex, so we both chase other people for a life partner. I did fall madly in love with someone who was my sexual soulmate. However, he died. We were supposed to spend our life together. In his death, he asked my best friend to take care of me. So the situation now is like, I cannot imagine anybody ever being better than my deceased partner in the bedroom. But outside the bedroom, my best friend is the best and most enjoyable companion. My best friend at one time had a crush on another woman that didn't work out. Anyway, here we both are, single, and we decided to be together. I cannot explain this, but since I met him, I knew that no matter what, if I found nobody, I will always have him, and I could just be with him. I always told him why we are not compatible, so he kinda just stayed friendzone, but it was clear he was always there and loving and always cares. So yay. Now we are together and trying to work things out. All the reasons why I feel we may not work out is still there, but I cannot deny he continues to care deeply for me even when I was with another guy, and really, when I lost my ex-partner, he was there all the way making sure I was okay. So the thing is, we probably could reach compromises because in the end, I do feel he doesn't want to lose us as much as I cannot imagine him not in my life. I cannot imagine not getting to talk to him every day of my life. My hesitation was truly about sex, how literally, we don't like a single thing in common in bed. I still don't know if long-term this gonna be a big issue, but I guess we both are willing to try and see what happens. And he always listens to my point of view, and he always listens and try to find a middle ground solution. So yeah, I do see him as the best friend I would be with if I could find no one else. In my case, I already met my best match and he is no more of this world. Nobody will top him. There is no point looking and rather treasure what I already have. My best friend. And he is seriously someone I trust more than anybody else and knows every skeleton in my closet like I know his. We have always been able to be super honest with each other on anything with no offense taken. He was pretty chill about me complaining about our sexual issues. I mean, it's been gazillion years. It never bothered him and he never gets mad at me about it. Made this agreement with my best friend when we were 21, not because we were romantically interested but because we were such good friends I felt we could make it work from a stability and practical side. I also strongly believe that romantic relationships are inherently unstable because the basis is romantic feeling, which isn't strong or constant on my side. Friendship and companionship was the better bet. Ended up marrying someone I love after a whirlwind courtship, But many years later I'm struggling and wish sometimes that I had held out for marriage for just companionship like I wanted when I was younger. Friend is wildly wealthy and unmarried and doing well in his career. I'm doing okay but feeling resentful lately as my spouse has started asking me to be his mom, personal secretary, and started making comments like only women like marriage, which is sending up huge red flags to me. This is a complete reversal of our long marriage, which has been him involved in household chores, making his own appointments, and being kind and considerate. Maybe he's just tired of me now.